Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll help the channel out and it'll get you more videos like this. Let's get to it. And our first one comes from Doubled Fox. Am I in the wrong for kicking people out of the shelter house I rented? My local park has two shelter houses, one that is close to the parking lot, and another about 100 yards closer to the playground equipment, and another that is far away but much more secluded and shades with trees. Recently, I started planning a baby shower for my wife and I decided to rent the shelter house closer to the parking lot and playground. One, because it's much easier, two, because my family has a lot of kids, and it's easier to watch them play from the close one. A month ago, I went to the city office in charge of the park and paid for a reservation for the day, which cost me $40. I was told that there'd be a sign put up with my name, showing that it was reserved. When I arrived around 2 p.m. with all my party decorations and things to set up, there was another group of people there already, and they had tablecloths on the table and gifts and balloons. But it was only 4 adults and no kids. I'm assuming the kids hadn't arrived yet. The sight of the party being set up made me a little flustered, because I knew I'd have to ask them to leave, or to move to the other shelter house. I specifically paid for the closer one, and was not willing to not give it up. I approached the people. It was one of the older men, probably late 50s, and 3 women, probably 30s to 40s. First I say, I have this shelter house reserved for the day. I need you to go elsewhere. The elder man replies, reserved? This is a public park. We've been here since 8 a.m. I replied with an annoyed tone, yes, I have it reserved. I paid for the city for this shelter house, and I need to set up my party. I need you to please move your things to the other building. He says, that building looked perfectly fine and empty. You can go set up there. We aren't moving. We were here first. One woman butts in, there was no sign here. If it's reserved, there should be a sign. I look at her and say, I was told there was going to be a sign. Are you sure it wasn't there? Yes, I'm sure. I didn't see a sign. Oh, so she knows this can be reserved, so they're just playing stupid. The old man chimes in with, look, we were here first, and there is no proof you rented this. Besides, it's a public park. You can't make us move. At this point, I try to explain that the park and shelter house are two separate things, and that if you want to use the building for a party, you are supposed to pay for it ahead of time. He wasn't having any of my attempts at explaining. The whole group didn't believe me. While talking to him, I hear one of the women say, I don't believe this guy. Let's call the sheriff. I say, quite annoyed, oh, so you don't believe me. Fine, let's get the sheriff down here and see what happens. I walked back to my car and called the police department. They sent 2 cops. The cops arrived and I walked to greet them. The other group did as well. The cops said they checked the record book and the shelter house was reserved in my name, but it didn't specify which one. I knew specifically that I requested the close one when I paid. They just didn't write it down in the book. I told the cop this, and he said the clerk in charge is currently looking for the receipt to see the specifics. The cop returned to his car while waiting for the call. I was left standing there with the other group. The old man started telling me how rude I was being, and that they had been there all day. How old is he? Finders keepers? They stole from you. They're trying to take what you reserved. He told me I needed to trust in God. Oh, don't bring religion into this, you sack. I don't know how you didn't swing on this geezer. And how you can only prosper in life when you're good to strangers. Yeah, you're a stranger to them and they're not good to you, stealing what you rented like that. I'm an atheist, by the way. I stood there listening and only said, maybe I'm having a bad day. They said that's no excuse to act this way. 10 minutes later, the cop returned and said that the receipt did specify that I had paid for the closer shelter house, and he explained to him that it's mine for the day. He told him they can move to the other one because it wasn't rented today. One of the women said in front of the cops, we would have left at any time, but you didn't give us any proof. Why should we just believe you? I simply say, you have your proof now, and walk away to unpack my car. They began cleanup of their party, which, by the way, was just still some decorations and some gifts. There were no kids with them. After they packed everything in their car, I overhear one of them say, I don't know where we're going to go. Maybe we should try the lake. The old man walks up to me and shakes my hand and says, I didn't mean to be a jerk. It's just that if I paid for this building, I would like to use it. He says, I've been here since 8 a.m. This isn't right at all. Enjoy the park. They got in their cars and left. They apparently decided they didn't want to use the other shelter house and went to have their party somewhere else. I wonder why. I have been thinking about, could I have handled this situation differently? I think you handled it well. You didn't cuss them out. You didn't yell at them. You didn't, swing on them. What else could you have done? You'd have to eventually get them kicked out, and the cops make sense to me. Um, could I have shared the building with them? No, they didn't give you 20. If they, okay, maybe if they give you $20 to cover, half of the payment, or offer to help them move their things to the other building, I wouldn't do that. They'd probably cuss you out for touching their things. I just kept thinking that I mostly ruined some little kid's birthday. What? And then ruin the little kid's birthday that you're taking care of, that you wisely planned ahead of and, paid to rent the space? OP, you gotta stop thinking like that and not be a pushover. Because I've dealt with this all the time, people taking advantage of things when you do it the right way. And sadly, people like that prosper, like cutting in line and, taking spots that shouldn't be there that you rented. And the thing is, they knew that things could be reserved, so it's not like they didn't know that. I would say I'd cut them a break with the sign, but they got there before you, OP. Who knows, they might have removed the sign and tossed it somewhere. But to answer your question, no, you are not the beehole. You paid to reserve this space, and these people just decided to, take the space. That's not how it works. You paid for that. So no, OP, you are not the beehole, or in the wrong. Our second one comes from Pianist Various, 3130. Am I in the wrong for ghosting my ex-roommate, even though she needs me? Okay, for context, I, an 18-year-old female, just finished my first year of uni, and to say the least, my roommate, a 19-year-old female, was not the best, super inconsiderate, and just downright rude at times. Some things she did include setting alarms for 4 in the morning, even when I asked her not to, being on FaceTime with her boyfriend when I would come out of the shower in a towel. Oh. When I asked her not to, she told me it didn't matter because he's not looking at you. Later she apologized, but I still changed in the bathroom from there on out. Constantly waking me up from naps or sleep. That would piss me off. Making fun of me for my interests/hobbies. Even my parents calling me mean even when I would go out of my way to help her with laundries, groceries, homework, etc., etc. Constantly on FaceTime, or having phone calls with her boyfriend, even talking about very intimate things late into the night, like 1 to 2 in the morning. We had a few arguments throughout the year, our first one being about her leaving candles on for hours at a time, even when she's not home. I would come from class and discover lit candles in the room. Oh, that's a fire hazard, that's not good. With no roommate. And I was always gentle to ask her to remember to blow them out before leaving. Candles are against the dorm rules, but I didn't mind them as long as she was being careful. But since she wasn't, I was forced to keep reminding her. To make a long story short, I reminded her in front of company. My mistake. I should have waited until they left. She blew up at me, calling me really mean and aggressive person, saying I made her upset all the time by being so unpleasant. Oh, you hurt her feelings. Yeah, I don't care. Don't burn down my dorm where all my stuff is. We talk afterwards, but she would continue to call me a bully for the remainder of the year. Anyways, now that you understand the roommate situation, I will admit that she wasn't a horrible friend at first. She even got me a job on campus, but her behavior towards me never changed. We got closer because we grew up in similar situations, and she told me things she never told anyone. She called me her closest friend on campus. Ooh, don't fall for that, OP. That right there is she's trying to butter you up and manipulate you like that because she knows, because who cares what she says, OP? Look at our actions. She's treating you like crap. And I felt so guilty because I knew deep down that I really didn't see her as the same, which you shouldn't because of the way she's treating you. She hurt me so much and it irritated me beyond belief. It's summer vacation now. We live in different cities, and she calls and texts me, but I haven't replied back. I wouldn't either. I know she needs someone to be a friend for her, but I can't deal with her again. Am I in the wrong for going ghost, even though she really needs me? Sorry if this feels like a rant. I have never made a post before. OP, you are not obligated to be her friend. You are not obligated to have her in your life. She treated you horribly for what, the year? Yeah, first year? And she's trying to manipulate you and use you. And don't do that, OP. Yeah, go ghost, block her number, and if hopefully you don't have bad luck and get her again the next year. So no, OP, you are not the beehole. I don't know about you, but I don't do favors or talk to people who treat me like crap. You know what I mean? Not the beehole. Just don't deal with that girl. She has her own demons to deal with. You gotta get through, college and get your degree and get out there. And our final one comes from Most Cupcake 4867. Am I wrong to be scared? I'm engaged to my fiance, whom I love very much. I've always known his family can be rough on the girls he brings home. He is the baby in the family. But lately it's gotten worse, and he's now being excluded from family events, and even family Sunday night dinners. We went to go see his grandparents this weekend, spur of the moment, and found out his siblings go over bi-weekly to barbecue or just to have dinner and not invite him. Oh, that's cold. Now, I really don't care if they invite me, as they've been very rude towards me, but it really upsets him and made him cry, and he felt bad for the rest of the night, and it ruined our Saturday. Am I wrong to think about our future, such as if we bring kids into this weird drama? I can understand if it was one of the family get-togethers, but we were told it happens multiple times in a month, where his family and niece and nephews get together and don't invite us or even him. I feel that his family is making it so he chooses between me or them, and I don't want that, but I think it's what's happening. Yeah, OP, if you're a cool person, which I'm gonna assume you're a cool person, it sounds like they just don't like you. That's happened with my parents too. You know what happened? My dad stopped talking to his family, and my mother stopped talking to their family. And that's how it went on. Eventually, they got over it. My dad still doesn't really mess with his family. They're a whole can of worms you don't want to mess with. But yeah, it feels like they don't like you. They're excluding him to punish him for being with you. And it feels like he's gonna have to choose, which really sucks. He shouldn't be put in that situation. And shame on the rest of the family for not backing up your brother, for them doing evil things like that. I don't know what to tell you, OP. It's up to him. Personally, if I'm with someone and I'm with someone, well, my family wouldn't put me in that situation because they know the pain of it because it happened to them. But you know what I mean. I'm saying if you're a good person, because I'd want my family to tell me the person I'm with is, a bad person, but I'm gonna assume you're a good person. It just sounds like they're a bunch of pricks and they want him to not be with you. OP, I'm gonna say you're not in the wrong for feeling afraid because it sounds like they want him to, not be with you. So again, OP, not in the wrong. I don't know what to tell you. The ball's in his court, basically. Thank you for making it to the end of the video with me. And can you please do what I said in the beginning? And like, comment, and subscribe. It really and truly does help the channel out. It helps it grow, and it helps you get more videos like this. Velvet out.